Let's take a look in detail how to use brush tool. Here is your brush tool. I'm going to click here and activate my brush tool. Or you can use the shortcut B to activate the brush tool. Here I'm going to select my classic soft brown brush. I think I don't have the brush tool. Okay, now I have the brush tool. Yeah. Now when I go to this option, that is brush settings, click on this and you'll get this dialog box. Take a new layer, as we have a habit to keep everything organized layer wise. So I'm going to take a new layer, and here I see a couple of options here. Let's see one by one what and how do they work. This is a simple size again. I can toggle the size of the brush using this. Maximum size is 5000. Again, here it is. Flip X or Y. Let's choose this brush and we'll get a better understanding what is flip X or Y. Okay, so this is a regular one. I'm gonna flip X, and you can see that this is flip in horizontal direction, that is X as per the bar graph. Now let's do flip Y. So this will be flip Y. This is upside down, flip Y. Angle, I can even change the angle, click and drag here, or I could just click and drag and turn around this, and I can change the angle and the roundness. Click on this and squeeze it, so I change the roundness. That is considered the roundness. In case I'm into calligraphy and stuff like that, I can try this roundness thing and do my brush. Roundness will be 100, and I have spacing. I can increase the space between two brush like so. I can click and drag and make a stroke like that. I'm going to control A and delete these pixels. Okay, now if I do this and make size a little smaller, so you can see the spacing, I can increase or decrease the spacing, and if I check off the spacing, it will give me a smooth line. Okay, next we have shape dynamics. Click on this. Don't just click on the tick mark, click on the name, and then you will activate the properties of your shape dynamics here. Okay, now the first we see is the size jitter. Jitter means it will give me a variation in the size when I do a, let's just increase the spacing for now. Okay, so as you can see, the brush is coming in various different sizes. You can see that. So that is the size jitter, and I can choose the minimum diameter. If I increase the minimum diameter, the size of the brush will increase. It will not be very small. You can notice that this particular brush that came out very small, and I have increased 50%, so the minimum diameter will stay this much. It won't go low like that much. So I can, if I increase the minimum diameter full, then every every brush will stay the same. Next is angle jitter. I'll just bring down the minimum diameter. Angle jitter will give me, as the name itself suggests, variation in the angle of the brush. Now it comes in different angles as I go on. Roundness jitter will give me variation in roundness. Yeah, as simple as that. Next I have scattering. In scatter, I can scatter the brushes in X and Y axis like so. Just one click and you can see where I click it came up and below. It will even come in sides. Let's say I want to do something like grass and like so. I can use this kind of brush, so it will just scatter around grass, and I can choose the count. If I increase this, it will give me way too much quantity of these brushes. And the count jitter, it will give me variation in count as well. This one, see, as you can see, it just came 2 here and 1620 here. So that's the count jitter in terms of scattering brushes. Next I have is texture. I'm gonna just bring down the spacing for a while. Yeah, the texture. Increase the brush, and then within the brush you see there is a texture. I can select the texture from here. Now I have another texture that is trees, and it has something like this going on. You can see a tree texture within the brush. If I invert, it will give me the opposite effect, like so. So there is a texture within the brush. If that's what you require, you can increase the scale of the texture or decrease the scale of the texture. This will give me many trees within this, and increase will just give me a little bigger one. Brightness will give me a very bright texture. Okay. Take down the brightness, it will just go away. Texture will just go away. A little bit of brightness is okay to get the texture right. This is a good texture though. Contrast, I can even increase the contrast. It was fine. Yeah, now it looks very clear. The texture becomes very clear. Texture to each tip, I'm going to keep that off. If you click this on, this texture seems to go away. We have few blend modes with the texture. With the height you don't get much. Linear height also, there's a little bit of texture, but that only at the edges. Hard mix, a little more at the edges again compared to the linear height. Linear burn will give me a little more texture, and you can explore around which texture works for you the best, and then apply texture. Overlay, depth overlay, darken, subtract, or multiply, classic multiply. Okay, I'll just give Control A and delete to remove everything in this layer. Next I have a dual brush. Now I can use two brushes in one single brush. Let's say I choose this brush. So now within this brush I get another brush. As you can see, that brush is applying within this brush, so I can use this as a second dual brush. I can increase and decrease the size of that brush as well. I have a full control of what I do here. Spacing also, the spacing, scatter in both, or just don't scatter. Scatter increase, and you see the scatter. Count will just vary the count in every single stroke. So you can do a lot using this option. Here I have color dynamics. Using this I can make a different color brush in just single stroke. Like let's say I'll just increase this foreground to background jitter, and this will give me that color variation. If I change the color here, let's say I'm gonna do it blue or whatever. Yeah, so you can see I get a different color shade every time I go. Yeah, the hue jitter will just give me a proper variation in the hue, and like here it will give me a different variation in color. Saturation will give me a difference in saturation as well. Hue jitter will full all kinds of colors, no bar. Brightness jitter will give me light and dark both jitter at the same time. Purity is the purity of the color. This is the pure color. Currently, this are the pure colors. If I bring down the purity of the color is gone. It will go back to black and white or grayish tints. Okay. Transfer. You can use opacity, jitter as well. Let's just give a little bit of spacing to my brush. Okay, now I'll see that opacity and with the flow as well. Flow would overlap the brushes and opacity would not. The difference between the flow and jitter. Noise will give me a little this is noise in the grain, but actually you see this is noise when compared to this one. It doesn't have any noise here. Wet edges will give me effect like a paint gives me wet edges like that. So these are some few brush settings you can use and create an object or a landscape. Let's take a look at how to create a brush. To create a brush, you need to take a blank document with a white background like so. And let's say I'm going to create a shape, something like this, using the pen tool, or you can use any other tool if you like. There I have my path. Control enter to make the selection, and I'm gonna give it a black color. Backspace, Control D to deselect. Now after doing this, I'm gonna go to the edit menu and I'm gonna define brush preset. This particular brush, let's say I'm gonna name this brush as fin, and okay. So I have this particular selection of pixels as a brush now.